Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. We're going to have this updated here with the Bitcoin spot ETF. It says just in $9 trillion asset manager BlackRock names Coinbase as SSA or Surveillance Sharing Agreement counterpart in updated spot Bitcoin ETF filing. So remember, Chairman Gensler from the SEC came back and pretty much shot down and denied the Bitcoin spot ETF applications because they says it was insufficient. But BlackRock refiled and included Coinbase as their surveillance sharing agreement partner in a sense. It says, which took place on Monday, and they're refiling. So obviously they checked the box that Chairman Gensler claims was the insufficient part of their application. So it'll just be a waiting game to kind of see what else Chairman Gensler and the SEC are trying to do to halt spot Bitcoin ETF, or if they approve it. So it'll just be a waiting game there. John Deaton says, the SEC and Gary Gensler are essentially claiming Coinbase is running an illegal business, yet the largest asset manager in the world and others are disclosing their intent to do business with this illegal business. It tells you all you need to know about what's really going on. I mean, literally hits it on the head. How is this even like a thing? Like, I mean, we're not dumb. And the fact that we have like social media, especially the likes of Twitter, and you have the community that we have, it's like we're going to surface all this information. It's really contradicting. It's crazy. We clearly know Chairman Gensler isn't out for the everyday investors. He's lining his pockets and doing what his masters are doing, what his masters want him to do, the incumbents, right? It's crazy. And then touching on this whole rumor that went out, which I thought was silly. Right when I heard it, I was like, there's just no way. Where it says SEC sources confirm Gary Gensler's resignation, and everybody was going crazy in Twitter talking about, man, is this true? And you have the likes of John Deaton saying, it's not true until I hear it from Fox Business. Eleanor Terry says, my SEC sources are calling BS on this. I've reached out to the SEC communications department for an official comment and will post a response when I get it. So I haven't seen an update from her, but Charles Gasparino has these two. He says, I tried to get an answer from the SEC flack on Gary Gensler's rumored resignation, what sounds like a wishful thinking for his haters. When I asked the questions via email, his chief PR guy says, sorry, what? When I re-asked the question, radio silence. That was 4 hours ago. And then Charles has this one right here. It says, breaking. As expected, SEC PR says Gary Gensler is not resigning. And then you have the likes of Ben Armstrong, Big Boy Crypto says, what I was told by an insider today when I asked about Gensler resigning is almost definitely false. If he ends up leaving soon, it most likely won't be a resignation. Sasha says they'll probably promote him. I mean, it's tragic that there's some truth to that, right? So digital asset investors responding to Allah here, which says 920 days since the beginning of the lawsuits against Ripple and under Gary Gensler, SEC has failed to show a quote unquote faithful allegiance to the law, which that's what the judge said. Those are the judge's words, right? And DAI says, or said another way, 920 days that our SEC and the U.S. government has enabled China and the CCP over our own citizens and the companies they represent. Investigations must happen. And then he adds all of our representatives. When investigation? Yeah, when's the new day? Get those investigations rolling. This is a solid video clip that's been going around. I wanted to post it when I saw it. I think it was on Saturday, but I didn't make a video. I was kind of busy. But this is from XRPville, and this is Xavier Hawk, and it's a solid video. Let's take a quick listen into this.
If you think about it, if all Ethereum did was a clever way to make a token available and then cover up their doing that might or might not be, SEC regulated because the people that were on their team worked for the SEC. There's a lot of weird stuff that's been going on in this industry. My point here is that I don't want to implicate anybody, but I want to say that now everybody's able to make their own tokens and break securities laws. Right? And it's just that they can't catch up with everybody. And now it's gone to the point where it's not just corporations, it's individuals issuing their own NFT securities, right? And so the idea is whack-a-mole. They can't go after everybody fast enough, but this isn't the right tactic. The right tactic is to actually go and address what the real concern is, and that is the decentralization of governance with a stable price trade instrument that we're able to do business globally with. The reason I know that these guys aren't actually addressing that, because they haven't had to avoid being kidnapped by a pirate Somalian gang. They haven't had to avoid and survive an assassination attempt like I have. They haven't addressed and gotten hacked for $160 million and told, don't you ever stick your neck out again, boy. Because when you really go up against the system and you really make a change that threatens the cowards who are running the thing, because all they've done is they've cheated and taken as much as they can, got on top of the hill, and are preventing everybody from getting on top of the hill. When really what we want to do is cooperate, have fun, explore life, and have a beautiful life with our families and our children. And that's what I'm here to build.
I mean, amen to that. I mean, that's literally, I'm singing that same tune. We just want a fair shot when it comes down to everything, really. You know, DAI talks about leveling the playing field. Like, seriously, let us all make our own mistakes, you know, especially when it comes to just investing our money. Obviously, you have that whole accredited investor crap on top of all the other scandals, insider information, insider trading, all this stuff that goes on in the industry, right? It's all manipulated, and we, the everyday investors, tend to be the one to be wrecked, whether it's ignorance, not enough education, being played by the bigger players, if you will, just a lot of shady stuff. And then we have barriers that we don't have access to because we don't make that much money. We're not accredited investors, and we're not a part of the club. Level the playing field when it comes to just not even just the crypto market, but just everything in life in general. Like, level the playing field and let people, you know, have choice. You know what I'm saying? And if they work hard enough and, you know, they fit the you know, the detail, if you will, and they fit the mold of whatever they're pursuing, you know, let them have equal access to that, especially when it comes to people building a life for their families, man. And I'm really on board with that for sure. And I know for me and my boys and how I see our life moving forward, it's just, it's so important that I have that opportunity to take educated risk when it's present. And I want to be able to, you know, like, for instance, you know, say the Chairman Gensler and the incumbents get their way, right, and you know, the everyday investor gets restricted from the market somehow, right? That's just crazy world. I'm just speculating here. That would be devastating. I mean, because I'm highly involved in this space, and I love being in this space, making video, making content, but investing in it too. I can see it really making an impact and a difference for the financial future of my family, you know, and it's important, and I want to have that opportunity. But that's what it's all about, man. Let's level the playing field and stop picking and choosing, you know, winners and losers. It's just not right. Let the space in the community decide. Let me play this really quick here. This from Cowboy Crypto says, not only does Xavier Hogg drop a nuke on ETH people working for the SEC, he describes, quote, a stable price trade instrument that we are able to do business globally with. This fits XRP perfectly. Says, hell, even Gensler has referred to XRP being a stable value, not because it's not a volatile asset, but because the transaction time is so quick. There is not enough time for drastic price fluctuations. Listen to this video, man. This is our now current Chairman Gensler, but this is when he was teaching back at MIT.
That in seconds it won't move as much. And the friction will be that you have to sell dollars to buy XRP.
Okay, I was dealing with this with the community with the audio being low, so this is the highest I can get it here, but I just want to play like the last part of it. Now it's going to tell me, let me try to refresh it here. All right, let's try to replay it here. Let me see if I can get it just towards the end.
In seconds it won't. Opportunities for stable value tokens that we'll talk about in a few classes is maybe as what we can call it as a bridge currency for cross-border.
There you go. What does that sound like to you? Speaking of, JD's kind of hitting some stuff on the head. Obviously, you got Chairman Gensler from the SEC, Jay Clayton dropping a lawsuit against Ripple, right? John Deaton has this thread here that I thought was solid, and I wanted to kind of quickly read it through real quick. It says, XRP is not a security. Just because beavers, groves, chinchillas, condos, and BTC are not securities, all these assets may have been once marketed, packaged, offered, and sold as investment contracts, but the asset remained what it always was. Yes, Bitcoin was once sold as an investment contract, SEC versus Shavers, but the particular sale didn't transform Bitcoin into anything other than what it is, a digital commodity. Judge Torres will soon be issuing her summary judgment decision regarding whether Ripple violated the law. Many experienced and smart lawyers believe Judge Torres will not comment on the token itself or secondary sales. I disagree. In order for Judge Torres to ignore the underlying asset issue or secondary sales, she would have to ignore much of the SEC's theory regarding XRP. I believe she will address both issues head on, just as her colleague, Judge Castell, also presiding in the SDNY, did in the Telegram case. There are two opinions and orders in Telegram. The second opinion making it even more clear. Here's what Judge Castell wrote in Telegram 1. Quote, the court rejects Telegram's characterization of purported security in this case. While helpful as a shorthand reference, the security in this case is not simply the gram, which is little more than alphanumeric cryptographic sequence. Quote, how he refers to an investment contract, for example, a security as a contract, transaction, or scheme, using the term scheme is a descriptive, not projective sense. This case presents a scheme to be evaluated under Howey that consists of full set of contracts, expectations, and understandings centered on the sales and distribution of the gram. Howey requires an examination of entirety of the parties' understanding and expectations, declining to treat the contracts and deeds as separate transactions. Here's Telegram 2. Quote, focusing upon the initial purchasers and their gram purchase agreements misses one of the central points of the court's opinion and order, specifically that the security was neither the gram purchase agreement nor the gram but the entire scheme. Remember, Telegram was a pure ICO case with written contracts, and the money raised was going to be used to build a platform and technology. The SEC sought a preliminary injunction and won. Judge Castal did address secondary market sales in his second decision because he believed that reaching the secondary market was part of the scheme. He wrote, quote, But the entire scheme that compromised the gram purchase agreements and the accompanying understandings and undertakings made by Telegram, including the expectation and intention that the initial purchasers would distribute grams into secondary public market. At the preliminary injunction stage, the intended resale of grams by Telegram's conduits into the secondary market is likely to involve U.S. purchasers and would likely satisfy Morrison's transactional test. JD says, now, some could read Telegram as a negative against Ripple because Judge Torres could find that Ripple's intent was to create a secondary market for XRP, therefore finding the secondary market was part of the scheme. But obviously, a pure ICO like Telegram without a functioning platform is not the same as the fact in the Ripple case. The USGAO did not call Gram a virtual currency utilizing a decentralized payment system called Ripple in 2014 like they did XRP. FinCEN didn't call Gram a virtual currency in 2015 like it did XRP. Gram didn't satisfy the criteria like XRP did related to the 2019 SEC framework for digital assets, stating if it could be utilized for immediate payments, it's unlikely to satisfy Howey. Gram wasn't highlighted as a virtual currency in FSOC's 2019 report the way XRP was, nor was Gram utilized by MoneyGram starting in June 2019 the way XRP was, including filing documents with the SEC stating XRP was going to be utilized in MoneyGram's cross-border business. There weren't businesses like Bellard Inc., who gave ethics disclosures in 2020-2022 affirming to the SEC that it would only buy and trade the three digital assets generally accepted by the SEC in the industry to be non-securities: Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. Gram was not listed. Unlike Telegram, the XRPL was fully functional and the XRP had been traded for 7.5 years openly and publicly. Unlike the Gram token, SEC staff could own XRP up until 2019, which this blows my mind right here. That's a big part of it right there. The fact that representatives within the SEC were able to own this digital asset, right? They weren't told, hey, you're purchasing a security. This is wrong. You can't do that, right? But no, they can hold it at that time. But they dropped the lawsuit in 2020. JD continues. He says, but the SEC's theory is that Ripple has engaged in functional equivalent of decade-long, ongoing, and continuous 24/7 ICO, and that each and every sale of XRP, regardless of the seller or the circumstances surrounding the sale, involves securities because it was part of the scheme. I believe George Torres has to address the underlying asset and secondary market sales. Could she avoid the issue and issue a ruling? Of course she could, but it would be a greater act of judicial activism to ignore the SEC's theory and not address these issues. So that was a super long thread, but I thought it was super necessary and pertinent to kind of the conversation we're having. We know that XRP isn't a security, and it's just a waiting game to kind of see what happens. Obviously, we're waiting on her summary judgment statement there. Going to end on this one. I thought this was interesting. JD says, what do you do when the SEC has spent well over $100 million in manpower and resources that last 3 years arguing XRP is an illegal security? You apply for an XRP hedge fund. So I think this is, I think Patrick Riley, I think that's who it is. I think that's the gentleman running for president. If I'm not mistaken, it says Arlington Capital makes bold move. XRP hedge fund application filed with SEC. Reaper Financial CEO Patrick L. Riley disclosed an interesting update regarding Arlington Capital's recent filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. It's crazy, man. Quickly coming over here, we're currently sitting at almost a 1.25 trillion market cap. Bitcoin sitting at 31,081. Ethereum sitting at 1957. XRP sitting just under 49 cents, man. We're holding strong, granted all this crazy stuff that's been happening within the market. Currently sitting at a 62 in the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, sitting in the greed level. That's what I have for you, though. Make sure you come to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto's Key 1. I really appreciate your support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.